Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, how about that? The Edmonton Oilers have now won 5 straight playoff games, taking the series opener against the Vegas Golden Knights 4-2. And once again, these Oilers have to come from behind to get a victory. It's in their MO. They can't start being up 1-0, and they get a game 1 win. Another rarity of this organization in the postseason. Avry Lewis-McDougall here with Game Over Edmonton. And we got a friend returning. It is Preston Hodgkinson from Daily Hive tapping in. Preston, what's good, sir?
No, this is good to be on, especially after an exciting Oilers win. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Avery.
Yes, of course. And a game in which, I look at this game where, yes, you had points from McDavid, a Draisaitl goal. But once again, the big thing that I was saying in the Sinbin.lv's Discord this morning was watch out for the X factors. Watch out for the depth of Edmonton. Watch out for the secondary scoring. And this is a game, Preston, where I was impressed once again because you got secondary scoring in this game from guys like Corey Perry and Connor Brown to seal things. And if you go into a series opener and in your first game, you're getting goals from guys like that, that's a good sign in my mind.
Well, yeah, it's kind of been the Oilers' identity this postseason, which is different than years past. Usually it's Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl handling the bulk of the scoring, and the other guys are just along for the ride. But even going back into the LA Kings series, I believe it was every forward had a goal in that series outside of Vasily Podkolzin. So they're getting big goals from some of the smaller depth guys. And, look at Connor Brown there. Such poise on that breakaway in the final minutes to put things away. Like, this isn't just Leon Draisaitl's and Connor McDavid's Oilers team anymore. This is 4 lines rolling and 3 defensive pairs going over, and they're giving Vegas a hard time.
Yeah, no, they really are. And looking at this game, and it's funny because I think the emphasis people were predicting when this postseason began, this Oilers team, again, is only McDavid Draisaitl. But if you saw last year, no, this Oilers team has a little bit more to it. And it's kind of funny because you look at the experts in Canadian media and American media. I saw the Empty Netters podcast account tweet out, like, we don't know what the Oilers are. Like, we don't know what the Oilers are. Like, we can't break them down because they're so odd.
Well, we know what the Oilers are now. They're a team that doesn't like playing with the lead. They 5 straight comeback victories in the Stanley Cup playoffs is quite a feat for a team that has so much firepower. And I believe Sportsnet Stats recently just tweeted out saying that's the first time in NHL history that a team has had 5 straight comeback victories in a single playoff run. So yeah, no, it took a little while for this team to gel. A lot of guys coming off some injuries, haven't played together all that much in the regular season, but as the playoffs keep going here, they're looking better and better. Like, I think that second period in general was some of the best hockey they've played all season, not just the playoffs. Like, they dominated play, limited the Vegas Golden Knights to just 1 shot on net. And you go into the third period, you're still down 1. You worry that it's like, they did all that for nothing, but they kept the pedal to the metal there and eventually found a way to pull out a win here. So not much I think you can complain about if you're an Oilers fan tonight.
No, exactly. And what's always good is Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network. So shift into Hyperdrive and get ready to have some fun with your new source for all the biggest stories in hockey. Bring in a unique style of broadcasting and commentary with a Quebecois flair. Hyperdrive Hockey combines top-tier hockey analysis, big stories, pop culture, and a fun atmosphere that'll drive debate, make you think, and more. Join Max Van Hoot, Daphne Malbouf, and Kevin Larme every Monday and Thursday for your fill of hockey world. Watch on YouTube and on the Game Over Network channel, or subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon, and head to our website, thegameovernetwork.com, for more. And Preston, looking at this start in this game here, I mean, we talked about a second ago how Edmonton has had trouble starting on time, and it was funny because I saw that first goal, and it looked like the script of game 1 for Edmonton LA, where Edmonton takes an early penalty and Vegas scores to open things up. I thought to myself, oh boy, here we go again. This is how it's going to start. But I think the biggest thing from that was how originally the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins high stick on Thomas Hurdle was missed. They went back and they reviewed it. And this is the thing in which I have no problem overall, press in the league, going back and reviewing penalties. But when you go back and review that, something that wasn't called, at the same time, though, you see Connor Brown driving to the net, being pushed into Aiden Hill, and that being called a penalty with no review. It's like, how are we calling one thing there and not going back to review that as well, too? It just was weird, I thought.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I don't know the rule book or cover to cover at all, but yeah, it was strange that the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins did high stick the player there, so it was a penalty, but it wasn't called. Like there was no arm that went up, and the whistle went, and then they went back and said the call on the ice is a double minor, which is strange because there was no call on the ice.
Yeah.
But like you said, in the same vein, like Connor Brown runs into Aiden Hill, obviously pushed into by the Vegas Golden Knights defenseman, and there's no review at all. So it is a little strange how they run that. Luckily, the Oilers penalty kill was able to regroup, get a big kill, keep things tied at 2-2, and help them to get that lead late in the game. So they gave up one early. That's not ideal, but it came through in the big moments, and I think that's a big takeaway from tonight's game.
Yeah, no, massively. And the big thing you talked about, the penalty kill, one thing that hurt the Oilers a lot in that series against LA was being unable to get a kill, unable to stop chances. And LA thrived on that. And yes, even though Edmonton did allow a goal on the 4-minute man advantage, in large part, special teams for the Oilers looked really good. And you're seeing a team that's learning from their mistakes against LA and applying it to the Vegas Golden Knights. We mentioned the second period where Edmonton, the shots on second period, Preston, were 12-1. And that was a big thing early in that series against the Kings where we were saying, why aren't they shooting more? Edmonton found ways to get shots early and often on Aiden Hill in this game.
Yeah, no, they were the offense was relentless throughout the entire game tonight, I think. Even the first period, I thought they had great looks. Just a few mistakes ended up in the back of the net. And, Bruce Cassidy, the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, was talking about pregame. Like, he knows that this Oilers team has a knack of getting to the front of the net. And we saw that today. 2 of the 4 goals were getting to the front of the net, right? So, the offense is clicking right now. All 4 lines doing what they can, and they're creating havoc in front of Aiden Hill. And Hill has not had a fantastic playoff to date. I don't know what the stats are after this game, but going into the series, Calvin Pickard had a better goal saved above expected, and he had a better save percentage. So a lot of people pointing to goaltending being a difference maker in this Vegas Oilers series. But by the numbers, the Oilers actually have the advantage right now. Could that change later on? Sure. But I think getting pucks early and often as much as they can to kind of shaky Aiden Hill is going to be key to this series.
Yeah, no, it is definitely going to be key. And, one funny thing is that, once again, with the Oilers team is that, we talk about physical play in the postseason has always been a big thing. But for Edmonton, in large part, in most of these games, they've been out-hit by quite a bit. The hits today were 42-33 in favor of Vegas. And all season long, Preston, they've not been a team known for throwing hits. And, I'm doing a piece for THN where I talked to Ty Emerson about that. And he mentioned to me how if you're not throwing hits with a purpose, what are you doing? And that's been a big thing in where Edmonton, they can be physical, but not running around just throwing hits to throw hits. And they've won a lot of these games where they're out hit by quite a bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, people love hits, right? Like, it's the old school hockey. It's fun to watch, but you don't want to be hitting often, right? Like you don't have the puck. You want to have possession. You want the other team throwing hits because that means they want the puck away from you. And the Oilers do a pretty good job of that as a possession team. So I still think they're pretty physical out there. We got guys like Evander Kane, Trent Frederick, Milner. They're throwing the body pretty good out there. And well-timed hits is exactly what this team needs. They don't need to be running out of position to lay that big hit to get the crowd into it or whatever. These are guys that have been here before. They don't need to be fired up with a big hit in the middle of the ice. They just need to play their game. And their game is high-octane offensive hockey. And from what we've seen lately, some pretty responsible play in the defensive zone. Where they're not running out of the way to make the big hit. They're making the necessary plays to get the puck going the right direction. So some people can make a big deal of the amount of hits game by game, but I really don't think it's that big of a deal if the Oilers are lagging behind the hit totals, as long as they keep getting the victories.
Yeah, no, exactly. And in this game in T-Mobile Arena, one thing I've always found so fun is that I've mentioned before on the show is that whenever there's an Oilers Golden Knights game, that crowd is half Edmonton, half Vegas. And you can talk to Golden Knight fans themselves. Like Golden Knight fans always ask me, why do so many of you guys in Nevada? Like, why are you guys always down here? And I tell them, like, one, like Oilers fans love to travel to Vegas. And I've told people before, there are so many Albertans who live in Vegas, who have homes down there. So there's a lot of, yeah, like it's, I mean, you saw it yourself as well, Preston, being down in Vegas. Like there's a lot of Edmontonians who go to that city quite often who live down there.
Well, yeah, and hey, Vegas is a great tourist city, and Edmonton fans travel well. Doesn't matter where they go. You look at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals last year in Sunrise, Florida. That's the biggest game in the history of the Florida Panthers, and I think half the crowd are Oilers fans. The roar on the Mosimann goal in that game was noticeable on the TV broadcast. So yeah, no, it's an easy city for the Oilers fans to travel to. I think there's a airline flight that goes daily between Edmonton and Vegas, so it's easy to go. Yeah, no, I think it's a combination of things, but I think in the end, the Oilers fans are just one of the more passionate ones in the entire league, and it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. And speaking of passion, if you want to help a passionate group of people in media grow, head to our Patreon channel. If you want to help over 30 young journalists in Canada, help them out, if you got a few spare bucks kicking around, head to our Patreon page at patreon.com/the Game Over Network. There you'll find multiple tiers featuring different rewards and goodies for helping us grow. There's extra access, looks behind the scenes, Discord benefits, merchandise discounts, opportunities to give us feedback, and you can join us for special live shows as we launch more ways to improve your experience. And hey, if you can't spare a few bucks, we get that. There's a free Patreon tier so you can still hop in on the fun. If you want to help us out some more, make sure to click like, subscribe on YouTube, rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast app, and make sure you share our work on social media. So that's patreon.com/the Game Over Network for some tantalizing goodies. Second period time here on Game Over Edmonton. And Preston, I got to ask you, the shocker, the reveal today that we all saw, one Mr. Gene Principe got a haircut in Vegas. He got trimmed, and I thought it was so funny. You see him going to morning skate in the morning of Vales, just to see the shock from other media, the players, and team staff. I thought that was so funny.
Hey, Gene's doing his part, ain't he, eh? I love the hair. I'm a really big fan of Gene Principe's mullet thing he's got going on. Huge fan, very jealous. I wish I could pull it off. But hey, he's kind of sharp with the short hair. I don't mind it. And if it results in the Oilers keep on winning here, keep on putting in some good performances, I don't think anyone else can complain. I know my grandmother keeps texting me, telling me to tell Gene to cut his hair. So I think she's pretty happy right now with both that and the victory.
You laugh at that. It's funny because my mom, she mentioned to me too about Gene's hair. She was saying to me, tell Gene he needs a purple shampoo. His hair is looking kind of yellow. So I was like, no, you're not alone.
I think his hair gets a little too much hate. His long hair, I love it, but he's looking good right now as well. So
no, he is.
I'll have to tell him that when he comes back to Edmonton.
And it's great to see him once again still being able to be a part of the Edmonton broadcast.
Oh, great. I love it.
Because we've seen before last year, usually CBC Sportsnet likes to mix up the broadcast teams when it comes to who does each series. But so it is still cool to see Gene sticking with Edmonton in round 2 as a reporter.
No, and Jack and Louis as well. You usually don't see him this far into I don't think we've ever seen Jack Michaels in the playoffs before, if I'm not mistaken. So it is nice to hear Jack keeping on the Sportsnet broadcast through these first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm. No, it is definitely fun to see, and also too, we'll get to our overtime comments later on. But I saw one comment pointed out, one comment in chat said how a seed of doubt was planted by the Oilers with this Game 1 win, and you know what? I don't think that doubt is there quite yet. It's only one game, but there might be a sense of, for Vegas, there might be a little bit of, we're the number one seed in the division. We should have dropped that game. We had our chances to win this game, and they did because Vegas had their chance
They
to
did have
clear
their
this game out.
chances.
Yeah, and they couldn't do it.
Well, and not only that, they got pretty outclassed for a lot of it. The last 40 minutes was all Edmonton, I think. Vegas had their looks in the third period. They had their chances in the third period, but outside of that power play and a few other chances, it was all Edmonton in that last 40 minutes. So I think there's some alarm bells that should be ringing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Nothing to panic about, obviously. We've seen how insignificant a game one victory can be in these playoffs. Like, look at the Oilers' history here. They've lost something ridiculous, like 7 of the last 8 game ones, or 7 of the last 9 now. And they've won the majority of those series still. So getting game one, great, awesome. You get the first series lead, but it means nothing if you can't finish it off. So Vegas will come out hungrier than ever in that game 2 on Thursday night, and Edmonton's got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, no, of course. And, I got to say, Calvin Pickard, this is another game in which Calvin Pickard, I mean, yes, he did give up the 2 goals early, but he looked calm, he looked composed. And one of the big things that I liked about Pickard is, being on odd man rush and a breakaway. That's where he's at his best. He hasn't looked shaky. He's been able to calm things down in his crease quite a bit, even when Vegas pressed late in that third period. You're seeing Calvin Pickard get calm. And it was a big thing that we saw Stuart Skinner do last year in the Cup final. So, I mean, I don't think, of course, right now the net is going to still remain with Calvin Pickard. But if you have 2 goaltenders who can sort things out, this team should be in good shape going forward, Preston.
Well, there's one thing I love being a beat reporter for the Edmonton Oilers. It's being proven wrong by players I'm not a big fan of, or I doubt them, and then they go out and prove me wrong. And Calvin Pickard's been that by far this year. I've said all year, yeah, like Pickard's been great in the backup role, but is he a guy you can really lean on for longer periods of time? Like, what if you get to the playoffs and Stuart Skinner can't play? Then what? Well, then what? The Calvin Pickard goes in and wins 5 in a row. So I love being wrong about that. I'm very happy for the guy. If anyone in the league deserves to have a moment like he's having right now, it's definitely him. So I'm very happy to see Calvin Pickard playing great hockey for the Oilers right now. And you're right. The Oilers do have this kind of weird goaltending situation. Mm-hmm. Yes, the net will stay with Pickard for now because he's won 5 in a row. You can't take the net away from him. It would make no sense. But if he stumbles, Stuart Skinner's waiting in the wings. Like he started a little slow, but he got this team to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final last year, largely starting every game but 2. So he has it in him to be a great, good playoff goaltender. So if there is something that happens in Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, you have Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner that can kind of play off each other. So I think that's actually kind of a strength for the Oilers right now.
Yeah, it really is. You mentioned that this is a team where, I mean, even last year, this is a team where there's a lot of guys who you want to see have success. Whereas like that one guy that this team finds a way to rally around. Last year, the guy was Sam Gagner, who I would have, be honest with you, Preston, I would love to see Sam Gagner resign one more year, be a part of this team, because he's someone who I think deserves that day of glory with the Stanley Cup. And now it's been Calvin Pickard. Like, this has been a team where there's that one guy where it's hard to not root for his success in this roster.
Oh, yeah. It's just the story there. Like, a journeyman backup has a hard time finding any playing time, goes AHL to AHL, spends some time in Vienna, of all places, in the middle of all of it. Now he's backstopping a Stanley Cup contending team in the playoffs. And he's the only undefeated goaltender in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now, which is absurd. I think if you told anyone that at the beginning of the postseason, they would have laughed you right out of the rink. So, no, I'm so happy to see him playing to the kind of hockey that he's playing right now.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, person. Like, you would have, if you had placed a bet on, who's gonna be the first goalie to 5 wins, and it was Calvin Pickard. Yeah, you'd have won that bet easily. You'd have cashed in quite well. You said Cal Pickard would have been 5-0 right now.
Yeah, no, it's unexpected, but that's the joy of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Expect the unexpected.
No, exactly. And hey, if you're enjoying the show so far, you probably want some more of this, right? Well, make sure to hit the like button on this video, click subscribe on our channel, and make sure you can hit the notification bell so you know when we go live next with Game Over Edmonton or any show on the Game Over Network. And if you're tapping into our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating or write a positive review if you love us. So, If you really enjoy the content, please follow us on our social media platforms. You can follow Game Over Network on Blue Sky at thegameovernetwork.com, on TikTok and Twitter at Game Over NHL, on Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, and Game Over Network. And hey, you can follow me on Twitter at Avry, follow Press on Twitter at NHL Hodgkinson, and hey, follow me on Instagram as well too, Avery Sports. You can find all of us on GameOverNetwork.com. You can also find our upcoming newsletter, which will drop very, very soon. Third period time here on Game Over Edmonton as we progress through a busy night. As one thing I've learned, Press, is that even from doing Game Over Network and even when we were with SDPN, I've learned that this market, Preston, loves a post-game show. No matter where it is, people love a post-game show. Our numbers jump up whenever the postseason comes. Like, people just love to consume post-game playoff content, man. It's so funny.
It's just the passion of the Alberta capital. The hockey fans here in Edmonton are one of a kind, and they want to squeeze every single bit of content out of every single game. So very good for people like us. Very, very happy to be in a market like this that loves the Oilers as much as they do.
Right? It is so true. And look at and this game here again. And, you know, someone who I thought I was impressed with again, someone who I was hard on when this season began, when he came up to this roster, was John Klingberg. I watched his play earlier this year. I thought to myself, nah, this ain't it. I don't see it. But this postseason, he has impressed me. I got to eat some crow on John Klingberg. His passing has impressed me a lot in these first two series, Preston.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're the only one eating crow on John Klingberg. I was also of that opinion in the regular season. We expected some rust from him. He'd been injured for quite a while when he signed with the Oilers through the season. So I don't think anyone was expecting him to, be prime John Klingberg again right off the bat. But I don't know how those first few games as an Oiler were pretty rough. But yeah, I'm of the same opinion of you in the playoffs. He has been very impressive. I think tonight was one of his best games of the playoffs so far. Just making smart moves and impressive outlet passes and moving that puck up the ice like it's nothing, which is huge for this Oilers team, considering all the offensive talent waiting up the ice for that puck. So, you have Evan Bouchard, you have Jake Wallman. We know those two can move the puck. That's what they've been doing it their entire career. But a lot of people thought that those days were over for John Klingberg. So it's been a huge boon for this team, especially without Mattias Ekholm due to injury, to have John Klingberg rediscover his game here. It's been quite a spectacle to watch here.
Yeah, no, it's been a revelation. It's been great to see. And the thing is, too, a comeback is already hard enough to do in any sport in the NHL. Like, the numbers aren't great for players making comebacks and being successful. And making a comeback mid-season, those numbers are even worse for a guy succeeding. And the fact that Klingberg is able to do it and shake off the rust and find himself in a spot, even more so now because Mattias Ekholm, he's out until at least round 3 now. So you got a defensive unit that has to make up for the loss of Mattias Ekholm. And they've done a good job so far, Preston.
Yeah, no, I think the entire defensive group, there's a lot of, like the goaltending, there's a lot of question marks swirling around them. But you look at tonight and why are we questioning them so much? They limited the Golden Knights to 12 shots through the first 40 minutes, and then they locked things pretty good down in the third period. So, it's easy to say that after one game rather than an entire series. But so far, the two question marks around the Oilers, the goaltending and the defense, they don't look like question marks through game one. So that's huge if that continues, but obviously a situation that can change very quickly.
Mm-hmm. No, it is so true. And also, too, in this postseason, there are 3 Canadian teams in the second round, the most since 2004. And I know it's only been one game. I know that we're still getting ahead of ourselves. But how much fun would it be, Preston, if we're looking at maybe a Western final of Winnipeg and Edmonton?
Oh, boy. What was it, 2021? Flashbacks of 2021. I don't think a lot of Oilers fans want to remember that 4-0 sweep at the hands of Connor Hellebuyck and the Winnipeg Jets. And that's a little scary for the Oilers because you know what? If the Jets make it past the Stars, that means Connor Hellebuyck's found his game. So, sure, maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but there's no fun in not getting ahead of ourselves because you also have the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference up 1-0 the Florida Panthers. So if you want to take it a step further, what if we're looking at a Edmonton Oilers versus Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup final? Now that would be something. Now that would be something.
For Game Over, that would mean we're probably gonna have our most numbers ever having dueling shows. But I don't know if this country is ready.
I don't know.
Edmonton, Toronto in a cup. I don't know if this country is ready.
Western Canada nearly collapsed under Vancouver Canucks Edmonton Oilers second round. So Edmonton Oilers Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup final. Man, would that be just a gut-wrenching loss for either of the teams to lose.
Oh man, the other market will always rub it into the other market's face forever and ever on, man. Like these are the two markets.
Yeah, especially Canadian markets. So we're probably getting ahead of ourselves, but let's think about that for a second. That would be
it would be very funny to see. And one thing I do notice is that Chris Knobloch again was rolling with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and that's been a pairing where I see it. Tonight it wasn't bad tonight. I mean, it was okay, but that's one pairing where I think everybody is saying, why does Chris Knobloch still keep those two together? Because they're really too similar of defenders to be on a pairing together. I mean, we've seen before Jake Wallman with Darnell Nurse look great. We've seen when these two players are separated, they're great. When on the same pairing, they both try to do too much and it backfires. I mean, tonight was an exception, but Chris Knobloch, I still feel, should separate these two on a pairings for game 2, Preston.
Well, yeah, and obviously, Knobloch, and especially Paul Coffey, the defensive coach, is seeing something there that he likes that is escaping my eye at least. But I kind of understand the logic. It's not really a pair that plays regular minutes. Like they are together for chunks of the game for sure. But the kind of strategy the Oilers have taken here is running a defense core by committee. It's not they're not relying on any one guy, any one pair, because the pairs are in constant flux. We see these guys playing with everyone all throughout the game. Do they have the players they play with the most? Yes, but it's not as concrete as you might think from a post-game or a pre-game skate, right? So they haven't had great results in the first round. They were a little shaky tonight, but overall pretty solid. So it'll be interesting to see how Knobloch and Coffey run the defensive group as the series progresses.
And seeing now the stat cards from Hockey Stat Cards and the game score for Evan Bouchard, when it comes to offense, Bouchard was phenomenal. He leads the way in offensive game score for a D-man on this team tonight. Like that's the one thing Evan Bouchard is that you might see an issue here or there, but he makes up for it in ways in the offensive zone.
He's just an absolute elite offensive defenseman. He's not second in playoff points per game all time behind only Bobby Orr for no reason. He is an exceptional offensive defenseman. And, that's going to come with some warts in the defensive end. We've been seeing this throughout the history of hockey. I'm sure back in the 1980s, Paul Coffey setting records. I'm sure he had his fair share of haters for his defensive play. But at the end of the day, he's part of the solution here, and he's not just a small part, he's a major component. So I understand getting upset with his defensive play here and there, but you look at his overall game and he impacts in such a positive way for the Edmonton Oilers squad that you can forgive it easily. Not having him would be a massive hole on that back end.
Yeah, exactly. It's why I roll my eyes so hard when I see the constant, they shouldn't pay Bouchard. They should trade him. Like, you do not dump or cheap out on a top right shot D-man who's young. Bouchard is young.
If anything, you look at the mistakes and you're like, oh, great, that's going to knock $1 million off his next contract, right? But yeah, no, I understand being a little upset with some of his defensive blunders, but he more than makes up for it in the offensive end.
No, it's totally true. And one thing you can't get mad at is, of course, the Game Over Network apparel line. It's dropped, y'all. If you want to get yourself some stuff, hop on it, because hey, we got hats, shirts, hoodies, and hey, if you love something like Game Over, you want to wear the merchandise, right? So the lines dropped with 3 unique lines. Whether you want to feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, One way your love for goalies proudly with our live and die by the goalie design, or if you need another, I guess, summertime now, a tea, a beer, a coffee, a juice, whatever, we got you covered. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now to take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. All right.
I need to get a hat. I'm in the market for a new hat. So
yeah, why not? Hey, we would appreciate that, Press. You want to get yourself a Game Over hat or whatever. All right. So overtime, y'all. Your questions, your comments, your complaints. Send notes, Andrew Berkshire. So we do have one of our first questions here. It's funny. Actually, it's a movie one from Tyson Monroe on Twitter. And this is a good one. Hang on. This is a good off-topic one. Where is it here? Let me pull it up here. Okay, here we go. From Tice, TYS35, Tyson Monroe. Is Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom the worst casting in movie history?
Oh wow, okay. Well, luckily I'm kind of a Marvel guy. I just seen Thunderbolts last week and I really enjoyed it. Wow. No, I don't think if they do it right, it'll be a good casting. I think if they do it right, they can play on the right notes and hit the right themes, and it'll be a fun movie to watch in the theaters. But it all comes down to execution. It does have potential to be bad, but hey, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I'm a sucker for nostalgia bait. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, if they can explain to me how in the movie they can explain to him being both Doctor Doom and Tony Stark in the universe, you know, I'm fine with it. They can explain that in some way. Like,
I'm very agreeable when I'm in a movie theater. You can sell me a lot when I'm sat down in a comfy chair and eating popcorn. So I don't think they'll have a problem with that for me.
No, like, you know, I mean, there's how many universes in Marvel? Like, explain to me how he's also Doom and Stark. You know, I'm fine with that. You know, fill in those holes, and I have no beef with that with Robert Downey Jr. playing both roles in the universe. But I think for me, my worst one is it's someone who's big in Marvel. It is Captain America. It's Anthony Mackie, but not what you would think. So, Preston, Anthony Mackie in Notorious played Tupac.
Oh!
And there are memes going online of Anthony Mackie as himself. Like, he's trying to be Tupac, he's trying to be serious, but all you can see is Anthony Mackie is a joker, like being funny. Like, he's trying to be serious, saying, yo, I'm Tupac. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. He was Tupac Shakur. It's
okay,
so
well, I was just about to say, no, I can maybe see it, but I haven't seen the performance. So I'll take
I gotta send you a clip. Like, you'll see it, and you'll go like, wow, this is not good. Like,
I haven't seen the new Captain America with him, so I don't know how his acting has gone lately.
No, like, he's too comedic to take on a role that serious. It's like, no, I know they're trying to do, because it's supposed to be the biopic of Biggie Smalls, but it's like, no, like, he's the wrong actor to have a serious role as a rapper. No, it doesn't work. No, that's the one I think is like, no, that one doesn't work. And I see another comments here. I see one of our old friends here, Adam Firebear. Thank you for the comments on my segues. I appreciate that. And his comment here, like we were talking about earlier, did anyone see this coming from Callum Pickard? 5-0. We mentioned earlier, like, no one saw this from Pickard going 5-0. I mentioned how if you bet on it, you would have made a lot of money. And it's funny because all throughout playoff history, Preston, there was always that one unsung hero, be it a goalie or a forward or a D-man, who has this run that just shocks the league. And they're the guy who, you know, who seriously puts himself in contention to be a Conn Smythe guy, or a guy who's leading the league in playoff scoring.
Yeah, no, you see that a lot of the time. I know Pavel Francouz had it against the Oilers in the Western Conference Final back in 2022, and then of course Aiden Hill's big break came against the Oilers in 2023. That second round, he went on to win the cup, and they became their starter. So, you know, every Jordan Binnington, 2019, like,
exactly.
You see goalies come out of nowhere and just have the run of the lifetime, and it's for sometimes it sets up a young goaltender. For a guy like Pickard, it's like, it's just great to see him. Maybe it like keeps him in the NHL for a few more years than he otherwise would have. So yeah, no, it's the makings for it is there. It'd be great to happen to him in Edmonton, but lots of road left to drive here. It's just game one of the second round, and there's still 6 more games left in this one potentially, and 2 more rounds.
No, exactly. And it's funny how Edmonton had like other franchise, there's been those kind of runs that have been common in this franchise history. I mean, you've had you had Fernando Pizzani in 06 or Dwayne Rosa in 06. Like that was the year where you had those kind of guys who people didn't expect to have those big playoff runs. And now Edmonton again. Now you mentioned Cal Pickard having his run right here in the second round. Like this is a team.
Don't forget Bill Ranford, 1990.
Yes,
Like,
coming in 1990, after Grand Fear after Grand Fear faltered. Like this is a team where they got a lot of those stories. And again, it's still early, it's a lot of road to go. But that would be a fun story if Calvin Pickard does get this team past Vegas, third round. I mean, again, you got to win 4 games, but that story would be fun to watch if it does come to fruition, Preston.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
I agree. And I think we're light on the questions here in comments after that. Let me just do a double check. But beyond those 2 questions, that's pretty much it. But yeah, before we go, I know I mentioned your Twitter, but Preston, anything? What's coming up for you? What's coming up for you on Daily Hive? What are some of the articles you're working on now?
Yeah. There's lots of stuff in the works for this playoff series. I'll have an article go up bright and early, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm going to be putting out some of the stuff that happened post game here. Should be some great content here, and I'm writing every day from Sunday to Thursday on most days, and then I'll have a few stuff coming out even on Fridays and Saturdays. So stay tuned to my Twitter at NHL Hodgkinson. That's NHLHODGKINSON. And of course, keep an eye on Daily Hive Edmonton and Offside Canada.
Nice. Oh man, they got you working at Rob Williams has you working now every day now, eh?
Oh yeah, I'm on call every single night here. So I'm not complaining though. It's playoffs are so much fun. I love doing this job, especially during playoff season. So I'm working a lot, but it doesn't feel like work a lot of the time.
There you go. I love hearing that. And hey, Preston, keep doing your good work. You have been killing it. I mean, every time you're in a scrum, there are some interview, there's some audio where you go viral for no matter what it is, be it a question, be it whatever.
Yeah, when I stay long enough to hear the question.
Oh, sorry.
I know I kind of threw Zach off a little bit. Won't happen again though.
No, I did think it was so funny. For those of you who might have not known, a couple weeks ago, Preston was asking Zach Hyman a question, and he got tapped to go talk to Vasily Podkolzin. Didn't know that wait till Zach has done his scrum to go over. Preston left, and it kind of turned into a funny thing in the locker room where even Zach was like, "Oh, to like my answer, I guess." So we kind of give Preston a hard time over that.
Caught on camera too. Worst kind.
At least the people on YouTube didn't know it was you. At least the comments were just, did that guy walk away? It didn't immediately tag it to you.
Yeah, well, I kind of revealed myself on Twitter there, so it's fun. I had fun with it. Zach had fun with it, and hey, it's another reason for all the guys to rib me a little more. So
no, exactly. And hey, Preston, thank you for coming on Game Over Edmonton. Always a blast having you on, buddy. Gotta do it again sometime.
Absolutely, whenever you want, Avery. I love working alongside you, and I'll see you at the rink here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyways, that is it. That is all. We'll be back again on Thursday night for Game Over Edmonton as Edmonton Vegas do it all over again for Game 2. Edmonton takes Game 1 and they lead the series 1-0 after a 4-2 victory. We're out. Later.
Good.